The Pale is the space between the two deaths, realm of undead past. A year ago, a designer who had done a lot of work on the world building of Disco Elysium released a document that outlined some of the Pale's lore that was only ever alluded to in-game. It refers to individuals known as magpies, who steal ideas from the future, an act that greatly contributes to the expansion of the Pale. The past steals the future away from the present, destroying more and more of reality. One of the figures who might fit this description in-game is Dolores Day, often lauded as the greatest human being to ever have lived. Dolores Day was an Innocence, a sacred ruling figure that assumed power over all the known worlds when in office. Innocences are considered literal personifications of history.
The decisions made by one are not decisions. They are inevitabilities. What would have happened anyway? Only accelerated. Packed into decades instead of centuries.
It was said that there was no need to establish their rule with force, because there would be no point. An Innocence could not help but win. Dolores Day in particular was a beyond genius philosopher, dictator, and military tactician. She was the world's greatest and most powerful mystery. To her contemporaries, she appeared out of time, a messenger from the future of the species. Later, she was killed by one of the men in her secret service, a young man who had come to suspect that Dolores Day was not entirely human, but something else. Something that had walked in our midst, watching us stumble for hundreds, if not thousands of years, until it decided to interfere in the course of our history. We were supposed to have come up with this ourselves, he was reported to have screamed at her before shooting her 22 times in the chest. Whichever interpretation of the Pale we're to believe, and maybe we ought to consider that both are correct, they hint at the same remedy. The only way to counteract the Pale is to engage in the act of creating something new. That's the beauty of what happens at the end of the events taking place inside the church. You take that horrible sound signaling the end of time, that raging trumpet noise of an angel from hell, and use it as the bass line in the track blasting from the speakers. And then you dance, in spite of the knowledge that one day all of us will be gone. The authenticity of that act actually stops the void for his career. Lacan has different ethics that precede the successful continuance of the analysis. First is the purification of all enjoyment from the desires. To traverse the fantasy, experience the rage and desire. But later, in 1959 and the early 60s, Lacan devised a new ethical ideal, seemingly opposed. Instead of pure desire, the only thing you can be guilty of is betray your desire. The only authentic thing you can do is to identify with your symptom. We must betray our desire so that we do not betray our symptom, which is our drive. In other words, the only true solution to our neurotic symptom is embracing the death drive as that which persists inside you even when prolonged. Drive precisely alongside your symptom, circulating. Therapy for Lacan sees it as reaches an end when the patient is able to recognize in the real of their symptom the only support of their being. In response to Althusser, Lacan taught that interpolation always fails. We are never fully what we answer as. This played a part in the development of what is called the split subject. Human beings are always separated from fully understanding who they really are, in and of themselves, which leads to a compromised self-image. Conforming ourselves to what is acceptable for the position we occupy in society always creates a leftover part of ourselves that we're instructed to disregard. There's always a set of behaviors that are inappropriate for certain situations. There are certain things you're not supposed to do in the workplace, for example. These prohibited behaviors constitute the symptom, the strange taboos that indicate the source of your enjoyment. The individual is split, and it is this very split that connects him with society. While Althusser might argue that you are a social being in the sense that you identify with certain values or recognize yourself in a certain position in society, Lacan claims something else. For him, you are a social being precisely because you are always trying to be the thing you're told you are. Obviously, ideology is still a factor. I'm still being called by what I'm taught I should answer as. The difference here is that for Lacan, the entire basis of your identity is the impassive relativism towards what is not a part of the position assigned to you. Sound familiar? It should. Zizek says the same thing about ideology itself. Not only is the subject split, you are only a subject because you are split. You can only be what you are, entirely understand what it is to be you. Precisely when you try to be yourself is when you recognize yourself the least. Identifying with your symptom means being authentic to yourself. Because, as we all know, if you want to be yourself, you have to be authentic to what feels right in the moment. You can't afford to constantly worry about the other. This is why Lacan says that at the end of therapy, the patient should become their own therapist. They should be the ones discovering for themselves what they desire when the other isn't about. You must be the person you decide to be. And that's where we leave May at the end of Night in the Woods. After the cultists let them leave, they defeatedly ride the elevator up. Despite their conflicted feelings, there's nothing they can do. But when they step off, May's ghost grabs her leg out of nowhere. She kicks and kicks and kicks and kicks, but she only gets away after the elevator lever is pulled. Goes crashing down. The earth shakes, collapsing the entrance. And then there's only darkness. Seconds pass while she gasps for air, and then she bursts out into hysterical laughter. And then the tears begin to flow. But after a moment, she picks herself back up again, and the group finds another way out. She slowly limps through the ankle-deep pool of water, one soggy step in front of the other. The damp air coming from the surface clings to her face. And then she faints. The cosmic being of the pit hasn't yet decided to let her go. She finds herself floating in an indeterminate space before the jaws of a swirling mass of darkness as it swallows the stars. Except, May now has her mind made up. When it sings to her, she confidently talks back. She confesses that she's terrified. She's so scared all the time. And the fear hurts. That feeling like everything is over. Like it was over long before she got here. Like it's gone before it's gone. But she gets it now. Even if she repeats the past, like the cultists did, it won't stop. One day, all of this will end. But she wants it to hurt. When her friends leave, when she has to let go, she wants it. Because that means it meant something. This pleasure in pain that May commits to is the enjoyment of the drive, which recasts this powerful confrontation as the moment May identifies with her symptom. Her nostalgia is no longer what it used to be. Exploring Possum Springs to discover new character interactions is, in my opinion, the most enjoyable part of the game. Although May is responsible, at the end of the game, you see her transform this social malfunction into her greatest strength. She creates her own definition of what it means to be an adult. For her, being an adult is about connection. Night in the Woods is commonly criticized for its ending. The cult and the supernatural whole that it worships are said to stick out in a jarring way from the rest of the game. But, and here comes the here's why bad things is good actually of this video, I think that's the point. May's journey into the mind exposes her to the limit of her ideology, the hollowness of nostalgia. The real sticks out of reality, but is also already inside of reality as its limit. At the start of Night in the Woods, May and the cult are fundamentally the same and yet fundamentally different. They're both different positions taken with respect towards the same deadlock embodied in social conflict. She says the same thing at the game's conclusion. I understand them in a way. It's like fireflies around a light, and then the light goes out. What makes her different now is what she says next. When I fell off of the cliff, I had a vision of Possum Springs where everything was gone, and it felt awful at the moment. But now I realize that I could just build another house, move somewhere else. May has decided to hold on to what she has while it's still here, until it throws her off. Then she'll find something else, create something new. May isn't defying entropy like some have suggested. She's shifting perspective to account for it. At the end of everything, hold on to anything. The goal of psychoanalysis for Lacan, synonymous with Zizek's journey through ideology, is not to transcend the symptom or to go beyond it, but to restructure our approach towards it in a way that addresses the deadlock it's built around. By traversing our fantasy, we allow ourselves to enjoy the bits and pieces of our enjoyment that are still available to us through our symptom. Cizik endeavors to make us aware that we live within an ideology, while also showing us that we cannot escape the ideological space. We can never overcome the split that makes us a subject. But identifying with our symptom means that we can be authentic in choosing who to be, and that authenticity enables us to craft a better ideological framework for our societies. We can decide our own fate by accepting where it's presently taking us. We can't go beyond ideology, but we can go beyond capitalist ideology by accounting for its limits. We can because we must. We will only achieve a brighter future if we let go of our tendency to hold on to old ideas and create something new. The eternal present of our day isn't just a lost future, but the potential for a new, authentic future. May doesn't know who she'll become in this new stage of her life, but it doesn't matter. For now, she just wants to have fun about this. The end of our world may be right around the corner. Time may be out of the corner. But that's the exact reason we ought to surprise ourselves and dance.